Hey everyone, it's Tori and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. For today's video, we're going to be setting up my bullet journal for June 2025. As you can see from my planning page where I plan out my headers, color palette, and everything I need to plan out my themes each month, we're going with a watermelon theme. But before we get into June spreads, let's take a look at how May is going so far. For May, I did a flower bouquet theme, which is a recreation combination, if you will, of my lilies theme in 2019, tulips theme in 2022, and daffodils theme in 2023. I also snuck in some Hubman and Shopgirl cherry blossom stickers into my weekly spreads to pay homage to my May theme I did in 2021, and if you missed this plan with me, I will have it linked in the cards for you to check out. But after flipping through last month, let's get into the supplies I used to create my bullet journal spreads for June. For this month's supplies, I broke out quite a few of my Crayola super tips for coloring in these watermelons, my microns, which will be for outlining and numbering, this black Tombow dual brush pen will be for my headers, and last but not least, this stencil is from Archer and Olive. I also wanted to share my junk drawer bullet journal, which is where I was messing around with a bunch of doodles and color palette I was trying to plan this month. I love having this extra space to be messy and get my creative juices flowing before putting it in my official bullet journal. And without further ado, let's get into my June cover page. I mentioned in my last few plan with me's that I'll be recreating or taking inspiration from a past theme of mine for every month in 2025. While I haven't done a watermelon theme in my own bullet journal yet, at least until today, I did one in a custom bullet journal back in 2022, and I was heavily inspired by that for this month. I wanted to include a few different greens and pinks for this color palette, which is where my Crayola super tips came in really handy. By the way, I got this set of markers in 2019, which is when I first started bullet journaling. That was 6 years ago and they haven't dried out yet. I feel like that's pretty amazing for markers. Only one in this set has dried out actually, and it was the red one a couple years ago, but the other 49 of them are still going strong. But getting back to my cover page, I decided to put the color down first before outlining, which is something I don't usually do. And I wanted to make the watermelon outlines more doodly, so I kind of messily went over the outline 3 or 4 times with this thinner micron fine liner. And I think this is the size 02, I tend to use that one a lot, and I really like the look of it. I do this outline method a lot in my reading journal, so I brought it over to this journal for this month. And after adding in the header, that is my cover page complete, and we're moving on to my dashboard spread. My dashboard is basically just a place for me to plan my goals for the month. I have this space to write what I want to crochet in June, and I'm really hoping to do a market or vendor event this month and sell a lot of plushies that I've been making. And below my crochet box is where I'm going to write what I want to read this month. I really need to finish up the Throne of Glass series so I can get to some of the other books on my TBR this summer, and those will probably be discussed more in my reading journal video where I'm setting up my spreads for June, and that will probably be up next weekend, so keep an eye out for that. The other 2 note boxes are for general to-do lists, which usually turn into just videos I need to prep and film, and also a mini calendar in the top left. I like to think this has a purpose other than just to fill up space, but it really is to just look cute. I never reference this calendar, and I think that's because I only ever look at the larger one I make every month on the next page. The decoration on this dashboard is a couple watermelons in the bottom left corner, and then I went in and added a ton of watermelon seeds across both pages to fill in some of that white space. Usually when I do things like this, I realize I liked it better without the extra doodles, but in this case, I think it brought the whole thing together. And with my dashboard complete, let's move over to my calendar spread for June. For my calendar, I went with a large grid layout where each box is 6 dot grid spaces across and 6 spaces down, which gives me just enough room for me to write events and bills and other notable things going on in my calendar spread from the last few months, so I decided to carry the same size grid layout into this month. I'm using my 05 micron for those grid outlines, and then I'm using my Crayola super tips and 02 micron again for those watermelon slices. Then I wrote in the initials for each day of the week in one of those green Crayolas, and I numbered the calendar grid with my 005 micron fine liner. The problem was I accidentally made this a 31-day calendar when June is only 30 days, so we've got July 1st on here too. I added in a bunch more of those watermelon seeds like I did on the previous spread, and after writing the June header at the bottom, that is my calendar complete, and it's time to move over to my trackers. On the left page will be my habit tracker, and I'm starting out by highlighting 9 spaces to write my habits I'm tracking this month. I'm also using these habit grid stickers that are the correct layout for June, unlike my calendar on the previous page. And these were made for me by my sister, who is a graphic designer. She made me stickers for Christmas that have habit tracker grids and mini calendars for each month this year, which is amazing. She doesn't sell these, but I've seen similar calendars out there, like at Planning with Kay, who also has number strips and cute planner stickers, so I'll have that shop link down below since a lot of you have been reaching out to me about these stickers. I'm doodling some more watermelon down at the bottom of this spread to keep this theme going, and now it's time to move over to the right side, which is my gratitude log. For my gratitude log, I'm doing my grid layout that I've been doing many times in the past, which is a layout originally inspired by Tracy Tyler Revel here on YouTube. My boxes for this spread are 8 dot grid spaces across and 3 down, and I love this layout especially for 30-day months because it fits so perfectly on this page. I like to keep this spread super simple and open to fill in one thing I'm grateful for each day. And now it's time to get into my anxiety-related spreads for June. For my stress and health log, I have space at the top to write what I'm stressed about each day, whether it's one thing or a couple things. And at the bottom is where I write anything going on health-wise that doesn't really happen on a normal day. For instance, if I'm sick or when I get my period, headaches, stomach aches, all that kind of stuff. I just like to have a separate space to write these kinds of things when I'm referring to my anxiety tracker, which will be over on the right. My anxiety tracker is going to be 30 watermelon slices to color in each day based on my key that I will have at the bottom of this spread. Honestly, I totally forgot what I initially set out to do for this anxiety tracker, and I realized that after I had already made my key. I'm so used to doodling something small each day and having a specific color to color in the doodles each day if I'm feeling no anxiety, a little, a lot, or if I have a panic attack. But when I was planning out this page, I forgot I wanted to color in all the watermelons like I had been doing in all my spreads so far, and then draw in the seeds instead to show how anxious I was. Like 1 seed would be no anxiety, 2 seeds would be a little anxiety, and so on. So I might change the spread or I might keep it as is. We'll have to see, I have a week to decide. With my anxiety tracker complete, we're heading over to the last spread of this setup, which is my monthly review. My monthly review is a place for me to sum everything up from the month, and it's going to look pretty much the same as it's looked all year with the same sections for reviewing my month. The left page will have a section for some highlights from June and a place to put a Polaroid of a photo I took this month, and I just print that out on my Instax printer from my phone. And then the bottom left box that I first started penning in is for me to write everything I'm loving this month that aren't already in the categories of watching, reading, or listening to over on the right. So that could be something I ate, something I like to wear, something super random. That's all going to go in that box on the left. At the top of the right page, you'll see 3 TVs where I write a movie I loved, show I watched, and a YouTube channel I've been watching a ton of. In my reading section, which is in the middle, I have 3 books where I'll write the titles of each book I finished this month, and also color in my personal star rating of each book. And then at the bottom right, there will be a couple things shoved together, which is an area titled Listening, to write a few songs I've loved listening to this month, as well as something I crocheted and also something that I cooked. And after adding in some finishing touches, that is my June bullet journal setup complete, and it's time to get into the final flip through. We are now entering the final flip through portion of today's video, and I want to encourage you all to comment down below what your theme is for June, and also a watermelon emoji if you made it to the end. I appreciate you all so much for watching my videos all the way through. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe while you're here. Also, don't forget to check out my bullet journal social medias. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!